welcome back to the Zero to Here podcast. I am your host, Denny Dumas. On tonight's show, what is happening in the Greater Vancouver real estate market in, the end of May 2019? Is it all doom and gloom, like the media says? Are sales really that bad? No, they're not. It is slower than we've seen in the last couple of years, but it's a normal market. This is kind of what the market was in 2013, 14, where sales ratios are normal. They're not 60, 70, 80% like they were in 2016, 17. It's important to keep things in perspective, and that's kind of what we get into. The market had climbed 40, 50% in 2 years, and that is not a sustainable growth pattern. So, of course, it had to go on a little bit of a correction, and that's kind of what we're seeing now. Sales are happening. They just are not happening as quickly as we have seen in the past. And we kind of get into what we are seeing on a day-to-day with the listings and clients that we have going on right now. Some good insight from the team on this one, and we had a good time. So enjoy and let us know if you have any real estate related questions. Hello, friends. Garbutt+Dumas real estate team back for round 2. We are going to do a little bit of Q&A today, actually. Posted a story on Instagram and got quite a few responses. So we're going to start with one from, actually he should probably name, who should be nameless.
Yeah, I thought we went over this already.
Someone say something intellectual about the real estate market while I pull this up.
Was that the question?
All right, good talk, guys. No, here it is. If your entire real estate team ran as far as they could Jamie beat the combined total? Thoughts?
No.
Expand, and also talk into the microphone.
So if Jamie just ran for, was it 22 hours straight?
So Jamie just ran in Portugal on an island that had 6,000 meter elevation for 118 kilometers in 21 and a half hours after battling pneumonia for 6 weeks.
And so we're placing this on a distance constraint, not a time constraint, right? Who could run the furthest?
That is correct. According to the question.
How much further do we think Jamie could run than he did run, and how many kilometers was that?
So this is the problem with Jamie. I think if we each run our longest distance and we have a total that he needs to beat,
He'll beat it.
He's just going to beat it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It'll be 4 days.
He knows of it ahead of time.
Yeah, but does he get to go first, or do we have to go?
Yeah,
I think for the point of this challenging question,
I think no, because of your competitiveness, you would decide to run farther than, what do you usually run? 3 kilometers?
That's incorrect.
So I could see you running very far, and then we would just have to pick up the scraps.
I think I could probably handle more than 3.
I
Exactly.
have some mental toughness and resilience. I can turn off the
There you
muscles and go.
I'm good for like 5 feet longer than whoever else runs the longest.
Well, and Adam would run pretty far.
You're going to win from our team?
Out of our team, I would win. I'd run the farthest.
Okay.
And Adam with shoes on.
Hang on a
socks?
second, because I want to explore this a little bit. What does your current athletic training look like?
Bold statement, Monica.
I'd say like 3 days a week I do something athletic.
Give us an example.
Is this another pumping the gas
You
scenario?
can't be pump your gas or put your
pumped the gas
groceries.
3 days a week.
If you haven't watched Pomo Life, you need to check it out, because this is why we're exploring this question. Such as?
Well, obviously I take the groceries into my house every
Oh,
day.
God,
I gotta go grocery shopping like twice a week.
But
How many stairs?
Well, it's one flight of stairs just up to my kitchen from the garage.
But a flight of stairs containing two
So that's
or
uphill.
less
That's just-
stairs, or
So what you're saying is you're in peak performance shape.
Peak performance shape. Best shape of my life.
of your life.
All right.
Wow.
Well,
I think we're gonna have to test this one out. We're gonna have to test this one out. We'll all run
next
to the death.
Garbutt+Dumas podcast is going to be
It's on the run.
the day after the run. We're all going to do our best For Adam, it might be like 3, 4, 5 kilometers. Monica's going to do 5 kilometers and 5 feet. Lucas just recently ran 20.
Yeah, so 27 actually.
27 in one day?
Yeah.
Good for you.
I think I can put in 20 minimum.
I was not aware of that number before I answered earlier.
Of what number?
27. Monica's like, I'm gonna stick with my 5 and 5 feet. Shawn?
How far could I run?
Yeah. What are you contributing to the team here for the?
I think I'd be the anchor. I think I would outrun Monica by an extra 5 feet. So, I think 27 kilometers.
So basically, there's 3 battling for last.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I'm going to summarize and say Jamie would likely win.
Yes.
All right, let's move on. Real estate wise, from our last podcast, basically what we got was the market was slow. We were hoping that the spring would pick up a little bit. Duplexes were the slowest. Hoping to hear some update on that, Shawn.
You'd be surprised.
What is happening right now, guys? Give me a summary. Give me like a 30-second summary. Adam.
I would say it's starting to take longer to negotiate and close a deal. So instead of just
That's a fair point.
expecting within a day, now we're seeing up to a week of negotiations at times.
Has the spring market picked up like we were hopeful that it would?
No, it has not. Not as usually this is the busiest time of the year. Yes, it has picked up compared to the months previous, but not to the extent that we were hoping or expecting it to. It has picked up, but not as much.
Lucas?
I agree. Other than this last weekend, it seemed to get a bit busier, which is great. And
Lucas is just gloating.
I am. Yeah.
Lucas had 3 accepted offers in the last 2 days, so he's excited.
I'm ready. Let's go. I'm running out of listings though, but that's okay. It's a good problem to have.
That's not a bad problem to have. One interesting stat to actually mention here. I think at the peak of maybe like early 2018, I looked on Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver, and there was a little over 15,000 realtors in Greater Vancouver. Did I tell you this, Carl? And as of last week, there was 14,200. So about 1,000 realtors have said, you know what? This craziness is over. I actually need to work for a living. I'm out of here. Which I'm on board with.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate is not easy. Although in the last couple of years, it has appeared that way. I would like our reputation to come back to like, we are real workaholics that don't turn our phones off. We are not just people that show up and sign a listing for our cousin and make a shit ton of money and drive a BMW and run away. Am I the only one that thinks that? All right.
I think there's
100%.
I think there's more to be said than just showing up and doing a hard, good job. I think in these times, that's when we shine because we're super honest. We're not just doing the deal just to get the deal done. Mm-hmm. If the deal doesn't work out because the property's not great or because it's not big enough or whatever the case is, we're completely honest about that. And I think that's what really shows in these type of times.
That's a good point. I think a lot of realtors right now are very doom and gloom. Like, oh my God, the market's so slow. I have 0 listings. What am I going to do this year for income?
True.
I look at it the exact opposite way in terms of like, this is the greatest opportunity of my career so far to be able to show people how much like worth we actually have. Yeah. And so doing things correctly, marketing the shit out of listings actually works. We get more people in to see properties. We sell quicker than the average agent in Greater Vancouver. So I see it as like a big opportunity and I'm pumped about it, to be honest. Sure, our income is going to be a lot less this year than it was the last couple of years. But long term, we get a lot of opportunity this year to take over listings that haven't sold in the last 6 months and show why we are really good at what we do.
I agree.
All right.
It's true though. It is an opportunity, and I think people look at it the wrong way. If you stay more positive at it and do what you enjoy, like I enjoy the marketing aspect of it all and having fun with it through social media, and that's starting to actually showcase itself, and people are looking at that and go, oh, what is he doing now? How are you doing that? And getting those questions now. And that's good.
And yeah, like I think the industry is going to shake out a bit. Like you said, some people are exiting. Some realtors will have the same attitude that you have, see it as a opportunity, as a challenge, and see it in a positive lens rather than seeing it in a negative lens. And that's just how it all shapes up. Some people are going to be middle of the pack. They're going to keep through it and stay there. Some who are maybe not as top echelon will exit, drop out. And then some people will rise to the top, and that gap will only get greater as we get to kind of pick up the scraps of the people who are exiting.
I think it just forces people to improve, to get better. Like the last couple of years were easy for a lot of people in our industry. And now that it's not that easy, people don't know what to do, but like you can get better. You can market better. You can prospect better. You can go door knock. You can do a lot more things than you were doing in the easy times because deals just came to you and it was easy.
And you get a chance to self-reflect as well. I mean, the great part about this quote unquote slow period is the fact that we get more chance to actually hang out with our clients and get some feedback and actually use that feedback to get even better. So, I mean, yeah, doing 160 deals versus 115, we still did a great job for the 160, but with the 115, we get a chance to spend more time with them, get more feedback, and use that feedback into getting better for when we get up to the 200 mark.
Great point.
And then me just being a newbie to the industry and this all happening within my very first year, I've literally never seen a good, strong market. So for me, it's like, yeah, financially it's terrible, but in terms of actually making me the best realtor I can be long term, it's the best way to go about it all. And it's again just seeing it through that lens, like I just mentioned. Like I could look at that and be like, okay, well, I picked the wrong time. I guess I should go back to my other job or just find another job that can easily get me that weekly income coming in that I know is coming in. But instead, like I knew that I was around a team that's at least going to have something for me. And I just saw it as actually a great opportunity if I wanted to do this long term, which I do. So I figured let's suck it up. Let's see what this can bring to me. Let's see what I can make out of it. And I think people who do bring the right attitude in it, they're only going to be, leveraged way better than they were before all of this happened, if they have the right attitude.
As we're in a slower period, talking specifically to like colleagues, so realtors in the industry, what would our advice, not that we are dominating in any way, but like what would our advice or be to people who are looking at it as a very negative? So saying the market's slow, I don't know what to do, I have no deals in my horizon. What would our advice be to them? Helpful, positive, optimistic advice, Adam.
I think just change the language and the mindset every day. Change the language in your own head and change the language that you use with your clients. This is a normal market. What would a normal realtor anywhere in the world, anywhere in North America, what would a normal realtor do every morning? They'd reach out to their clients, they'd check in, they'd do like lead sourcing. They would
connect with their old clients.
Yeah. Just change the language and change the mindset. To me, it seems really simple. Slow, reach out to somebody who came and looked at the property 2 months ago. If you've had the listing for 6 months, call up somebody who saw it 2 months ago and say, hey, have they bought yet? Why not? Send an offer.
I think another thing to keep in mind, and Monica's 100% right, just go out there and do the job, is if I were to talk to that same agent, I'd say we're in the exact same position as you. The market hasn't just slowed down for you, it's slowed down for everyone. I mean, use this as an opportunity to connect with people who are doing very well in a really downturn market and see what they're doing. Reach out, find out what the benchmark is, find out how you can, leverage that benchmark and make it even better. This is a time to explore your field and master it. So if you have time and you're not busy with clients, master the profession, figure it out, get out there, ask questions.
I think that's a good point. Is like, look at what people in your area are doing that are doing well, that are selling dozens of properties a month. What are they doing? They're active on social media. They're marketing the hell out of their business, and they're prospecting like crazy. Right? It's not rocket science in our industry.
But putting in the work though. That's
totally.
It.
There's a lot of
it is.
opportunity out there. It's just, if you're expecting people to it just be super easy like it was in 2016, yeah, welcome back to reality.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
If you had listing side, the buying side was a nightmare. Anyway, so we talked about opportunity for realtors. What about opportunities for clients? Where is the opportunity right now? Because with any slow period, there's going to be opportunity. What type of product, what type of scenario are people winning right now?
Do you want to say what type of product or what type of neighborhood? Because I can give you answers for both.
Let's hear them.
So in terms of the
Jesus,
biggest
Shawn.
wins,
Christ, pick one already. Let's go.
in terms of
Jesus Christ.
sorry, I'll get there, Lucas.
Oh my God.
In terms of biggest areas and biggest wins, Vancouver West is a huge win for people. We're seeing properties that were listed for $4 million selling for 3.3. Now, yes, not everybody's going
Were they
So it's a win for the
listing or
buyers.
selling at 4 million?
They were
previously?
listed at 4 million, selling for 3.3.
But what were they previously selling at though?
For those ones, they were so in the hot markets in 2015, 16, and somewhat of 2017, they were selling for the 4 million. They were selling over asking. Now what's happening is everything's selling below asking, and they're at a discounted rate. I mean, for example, a place in Shaughnessy off of West 27th, the purchaser bought it for substantially more than what they listed it for. I mean, they had it listed for 4.4, then it went down to 4.2, and now it was listed for 3.8. So, I mean, it's almost 600,000 less than what they originally posted it for.
How are people taking advantage of that though? So keep in mind, like, our audience and our clientele with our team is like 30 somethings, a lot of them, right?
Right.
So how do people take advantage of the current market? A lot of them aren't spending $3.5 million on a house today.
True.
So where do they find deals and opportunity?
Well, I think that's a really good question. I mean, it may not be a house in the same neighborhood in Vancouver West, but I mean, it could be a condo. Condos have also come down quite a bit. Attached housing, duplexes, row houses. Those are viable options for people in that 600 to maybe 1.2 range, which is very affordable, quote unquote, for Vancouver standards. I mean, you could buy a similar house, a single detached house in New Westminster for 1.2, a very nice one too. So, I mean, people who are in that 600 to 1.2 range, they have tons of options. They can move around the Lower Mainland quite a bit. And I think that's the nice thing because it's turned into a buyer's market. So they have more options for where they can buy. Luxury properties, I mean, those are huge discounts for those. People starting off for the 1 bedrooms, there's discounts on those. 2 bedrooms, discounts on those. It just depends on where they want to be.
Monica, Lucas?
Just going to say quick that I've noticed just a little bit different on your question, just a different answer in regards to the opportunity has been
Say it already.
a lot of my clients. So a lot of my deals this year have been the shift where a seller is selling in order to go and buy. So they're moving up the ladder. And that's been quite a few of my deals this year. And that's where the opportunity is. Yeah, you may lose a little bit on the sale, but you can also get a great value while you're moving up the ladder into something else that you've always wanted to get into. Like that opportunity is golden right now for everybody.
Agree. I think that's where the biggest opportunities are for a lot of young families, young couples.
Exactly.
Is their condo maybe has lost 5% value in the last 12 months, but the houses that they're looking to buy, that gap has gotten a lot smaller. The houses are down 15 to 20%.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to see this type of scenario for a long time moving forward. So I think really good opportunity for a lot of young couples and families that are thinking about upsizing.
This is it.
I think so.
I think so too. I think it's a very unique opportunity a lot of people haven't seen, especially at our age.
I had someone message me today actually.
Yeah.
And they said their searches were basically for townhouses up to 900K.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, can you show me what single family homes are? And I was like, I told you that 3 weeks ago. Like, let's look at single family homes and maybe get a basement suite. And then you're like net income basically.
Yeah.
And so I set them up on some single family searches, and within 3 minutes he had texted me. He's like, man, this thing looks amazing for $850K or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of deals out there for single family homes right now. Only a piece of land.
I agree, big time.
It's been a long time since I've heard single family house for 850,000.
I know.
I mean, 2 bedrooms hit almost 700,000 in US.
I know.
So single family house 850.
Above that.
The steal.
Look at Pier West. Remember Pier West?
750,000 for 1 bedroom?
625.
I saw 750
Not for 1 bedroom.
for 1 bedroom,
No
Pier
way.
West. No joke.
I will fight you on that.
Bring it up. What we're talking. I want to see it.
Carl, pause everything. We're having a fight.
No, keep it rolling.
But it's unreal that you could have bought a 1 bedroom condo. Mind you, it's a brand new place, Pier West. It's supposed to be built by Bosa. Has a great
Supposed to be
reputation.
built by Bosa.
supposed
Who
to
really
be.
built it?
It'll be built by Boza.
You never know what's going to happen in the amendments, people. But that being said, I mean, it's great. I mean, you get a chance to see houses that are affordable again, right? So now's a chance to take that leap and jump into your single family house. Now's the time to upgrade.
100%.
Do you think we need to be careful of using the words affordable? Because I think affordable is an appropriate word for someone who's upsizing, who has built some equity in their condo over the last 3 years and is now able to jump into a single family home. But someone who's just starting out, going to a $800,000, $900,000, $1 million single family home is unachievable. Like, it's very, very difficult. So I'm always careful about the word affordable. You put it in perspective, looking at the Greater Vancouver real estate market as a whole. Yes, the numbers seem affordable based on the last 24 months. But is it really affordable? Spending $1 million on a teardown in a suburb of Vancouver?
But affordable is really about somebody's mindset on being realistic with what they can.
Affordable is a
For
general. Affordable is a general term, though. It's saying for the general population, this should be achievable, and it isn't. Far from.
True. Denny, I think you bring up a great point about affordability. I mean, just to kind of jump into the economics of things on a very small, minute scale, the cost of living has gone up for Vancouver. I mean, you've seen taxes for homes go up like crazy. I mean, before it used to be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, which is still pretty expensive, has gone up to $12,000 to $20,000+ per year, right? So, I mean, I'll use a simple example. A cost of 1 apple, maybe it was 5 cents, maybe it was 10 cents. Now 1 apple costs $1.13 after taxes, right? So if we're looking at people who are getting paid $60,000 to $100,000, you know, the cost of living has gone up. So affordability has gone down. So you're right. Can we use the word affordable? It depends on the person. It depends with the type of budget that you're working with. And I think Lucas was right as well.
I'm always right. Joking. I did get my property tax today too.
I got mine the last couple days.
And my taxes have gone up $800 in 2 years. My property taxes. So it's just going. Maybe the mayor has.
That was the quietest sentence I've ever heard. What was that?
Mine's up too.
Okay, there's on this topic of affordability, there's a lot of legislation that's come in the last couple of years, whether it be like provincial taxes, stress test, etc. That would be a provincial tax. Yeah, thank you.
Smartest guy in the room, everybody, Shawn.
So let's talk about the stress test for a second.
Hold on. I want to say in general, is the government, local governments on the right track in terms of improving affordability on housing in Greater Vancouver?
No.
Question or comment?
Monica has the best laugh on the team. I will give her that 100,000%. It's so good.
You have to elaborate on that one answer.
I'm asking your opinion, not just a single word answer. It's not a fucking Scantron. ABC.
Scantrons, guys. Remember Scantrons? Oh, man.
Some of us do.
Yeah.
Still to this day. So, elaborate.
No.
So your opinion is no. Let's hear it.
No. Like he just said, an apple is $1.13.
Then that's at Starbucks.
Yeah.
So
You probably shouldn't be buying apples at Starbucks first off. The
Lucas's taxes went up $800. Apples are $1.13. No.
Gas, the Starbucks gas.
Yeah.
Gas?
Okay, we're talking about real estate.
Well,
Why are these proposed taxes that are coming in that are saying this is going to help the government, whoever the hell they are? What are their names? Premier. Canada's weird for names like that. Anyway, these taxes that the premier is bringing in, saying this is going to help make Vancouver more affordable. They're not, from my perspective. But like, why are these things coming in that are not helping? Or why are they not helping? Why is the luxury tax not helping? Why is the foreign buyer tax not helping?
I think that there's so many different things to take into consideration when answering this question. I was at a book launch last week for Larry Beasley. He was,
I love this.
but it's important though. So he kind of coined the term Vancouverism. So he was the city planner at that time that Concord Pacific bought out most of False Creek.
Yeah.
So when he was asking questions at the end of his book launch, one of the questions that was asked was, what about affordability? What are city planners going to do for affordability? And, part of what he said was they were exposed to this problem that nobody was ready for, this influx of foreign investment in Vancouver. So, I mean, is there an easy answer for making everything affordable? Not at all.
Were we not ready?
We were not ready for
Why was everyone so confused about this? This is literally in the top 3 cities in the world to live consistently for the last 10 years.
Of course.
Why does no one think that people are going to want to live here?
And see, that's where the problem lies. So, I mean, if we're looking at Expo 86 and we're looking at the immigration rates after that, they spiked quite a bit.
Before I was born, Shawn.
But that's the thing. So we're looking at times where Vancouver was on the world stage. I mean, Expo 86 was a huge, huge thing for us. I mean, that's when we got the SkyTrain. That's when we were connected to so many different cities within a half an hour. Right. So, I mean, then we're looking at the Olympics. And I mean, if we look at the immigration rates after the Olympics, they weren't as great as they were after Expo 86. So, I mean, nobody really saw it coming, which is sad because we should have, because we're on the world stage. Right. So, I mean, if you look at affordability, is it just housing? Is it the cost of living? Is it the amount of industry we have? Is it the jobs? Is it the pay scale? Like, what exactly are we talking about when we talk affordability? And I think that's why it's so hard to answer.
But outside of housing, what is like priced higher than anywhere else in Canada?
Everything. Being from Alberta, gas, groceries, insurance,
Everything.
cost of like rent, literally everything you
The
buy.
rent is housing.
That's why he's wearing
I know, but I'm saying like literally everything.
That's why he's wearing flip-flops today.
Yeah.
What is
and
happening?
socks. He's wearing flip-flops and socks, guys.
That's what rich people
Cost of shoes.
Mm-hmm.
We should call a friend right now and get a second opinion on Adam's socks because
Yeah.
I'm not excited about it.
I'm open to
Monica almost threw up.
it. Yeah. It's okay.
I feel like Alex D'Angelo is going to be getting a call from us.
I'd like to touch on the affordability and why those policy changes didn't actually solve it.
Adam, the stage is yours.
Thank you. I think that the government obviously has to make efforts because it is one of the biggest political items right now, and especially if you're wanting to win or stay in house, it's one of the biggest agendas. Is everyone who lives in Vancouver, especially people who don't own yet, want to own and want to be able to own, and it's not possible for a lot of people, or they don't feel like it's achievable. Government needs to do something. If they don't do anything, they're
The
out.
government tried doing something, though.
I know that, so they need to do something.
Yeah.
So they're gonna do something. It wasn't the right answer, but they didn't have a better answer. It wasn't the right answer. They tried. There isn't. I don't think there is a right answer because of what we just said. Well, yeah, I'm sure there is, but it is always going to be more expensive to live in Vancouver than it is in Calgary. Calgary is always going to be more expensive than Edmonton. Edmonton's going to be more expensive than Winnipeg. And so we're only going to go so low. And so then there has to be a line of where affordability is. And I don't know if it's instead of trying to bring down housing, bring up what we're able to earn and take away some of our other extra costs. I don't think it's bringing down housing, because the reality is it's always going to be more expensive to buy real estate here than anywhere else in Canada and a lot of North America. So I don't think it's a quick fix or a quick policy on real estate and on taxing real estate. I think it's got to be more of a holistic approach, multi-pronged.
Do you know what the turnaround time for a building permit in Vancouver is right now?
What's the turnaround time for a building permit, Denny?
Any guesses?
I'm going to say you know the answer.
I'm going to say 8 months.
8 weeks?
That's insane. It used to be over a year.
It's 2 years.
Yeah, it used to be a year. It dropped down to about 8 months, and then it went back up to 2, didn't it?
It's insanity
2 years for a building permit.
to get a building permit.
For what? Anything?
Anything.
2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
But is it city from city to city?
Well, yeah, every city moves differently. New Est is probably the slowest moving city of all
Well,
time.
because all they do is retire.
P.S. Anyone that is working at the city of New Est, I love you because you gave me a building permit for 132
After
Oakland,
2 years.
and I love you.
So the other thing to keep in mind for Vancouver is you have densification because there's tons of people moving in. Not only that, just a few months ago, they stated that RS1 zonings can convert into duplexes and in some cases fourplexes.
That's Vancouver specific, right?
Vancouver specific. And I think in some cases, sixplexes. So this would be a home, a basement suite, and also a laneway house as well. So on each side, you'd be having 3 different residences. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why some people are complaining that the resources aren't there. The amount of electricity, sewage, and all that stuff needs to get upgraded. Just adding to what you're saying. So that might be one of the reasons why it's gone up to 2 years. But just to kind of add on to what
Today's podcast is not sponsored by Steel and Oak.
Not sponsored by Steel
Did not.
and Oak.
Steel and Oak did not pay a cent for this.
They did
The
not
finest
pay
brewery in
1
New West.
cent.
Did not pay anything.
But our fridge is full of it.
They do have some good guys down there. I do like the people there.
could I add on to what Adam was saying though about affordability?
Yes.
Yeah, quickly.
Okay, cool. I'll make it super quick. So, I mean, one thing to keep in mind is generational. In the 50s and 60s, you noticed homes had 3 beds up, 1 washroom, and then an empty basement downstairs. 70s, wider lots, bigger houses, more entertaining. 90s, absolute massive homes with 3 stories.
Stucco. That didn't work well.
They love stucco and their tile roofs.
Tile roofs.
Tile
yes.
roofs, the thing of the 90s, one of the greatest things ever. But the other thing that we need to keep in mind is as realtors, we love sales. And that's what Vancouver's been after for the longest time is sales. I think some cities we need to keep an eye on are New York because they went from buying real estate to not being able to attain any real estate. And now it's a renter's market. So, I mean, if we think about affordability, is affordability buying and owning land? Or is affordability just being able to pay to live in that piece of property, right? Is it a mindset shift or is it a mindset shift?
Well, okay, you bring up New York. New York, like London, like
Tokyo.
a lot of big cities around the world, where is a single family house with a backyard? Where are they? Do they exist? No.
They're on the outskirts because what happens is
Exactly.
city planners build upwards because you can only build upwards so much.
But what is this like mythological dream that everyone has in Vancouver that they are entitled to own a piece of land?
UBC
Where does this come from?
A UBC professor actually talked on this a few months ago about single family homes and how they're a thing of the past and that densification is the future. So, I mean, it could be how we grew up in Vancouver, right? Like we just talked about a few minutes ago, Vancouver just came to the world stage and everybody was used to their single family houses. Now all of a sudden multifamily homes are going up everywhere, right? So, I mean, maybe we're slow to change our mind and realize that maybe multifamily is the way to go.
I think it's the only, in terms of affordability, it's the only way to go. Right? You can't just keep taxing the shit out of stuff for no reason. Oh, you only live in your house for 6 months a year?
Yeah.
Tax. Like you aren't a Canadian citizen? Tax.
I think
You work here? Doesn't matter. Not a Canadian citizen. Screw you. Tax. Like it's just as silly.
Yeah, I agree.
we live in what's trying to be a world-class city, and we're going to pay world-class city real estate prices, and
But we're
everybody
not
just
even
needs to-
close to that right now.
But that's where it's going.
Exactly.
Everybody that lived in places like Toronto, New York, Tokyo, all the places that you mentioned, all had this argument that we're having in the 70s.
But what did they do?
Well, they couldn't do anything.
They conformed.
No,
They
well,
moved.
they built
They moved and they built up.
exactly.
If they didn't like it, they moved, and then developers built up. That's it.
But I think that has to be the answer, right? Like, of course, people that are 75 years old, that grew up in Greater Vancouver, that owned a house in Kerrisdale that cost them $36,000, don't want to see land assemblies and condos going up. Sure.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is if they were working their job that they were in the 60s, 50s, and tried to buy a $4 million house, doesn't, right?
Nope.
I think Vancouver is at the point now where we are on the verge of becoming a very big global city, even though our population's fairly small right now. But the problem is supply. That's why we had 2 crazy years. It wasn't because of foreign investment. In my opinion, that number was a lot smaller than what the media actually said it was. The media said like 5 to 10%, and I think that was ridiculous. I think it was like 1%. It was really small, in my opinion.
And I think you're right. I think we also need to look at the definitions that they use, because so many of the facts can be skewed. I mean, you can use whatever numbers you want, but I mean, maybe there was vehicles used in order to get that property. Maybe 1% of it was owned by a Canadian resident, whereas 99% share was a foreign investor, or vice versa.
Do you think that number is that like as big as the media talked about it though?
The 5%?
Yeah,
I think
I saw articles that were up to 10%.
Possibly.
Do you think that's accurate?
accurate?
For real estate sales in Greater Vancouver, you think 10% were foreign investors? And
There's
the
no
way
way.
that these, like, they're talking about China, right? Let's just be honest. They're talking about China. They're not talking about Europeans. They brought the tax in for China, and it is, in my opinion, pretty racist.
It's discriminatory, yes.
Yeah.
I definitely agree, because we have people from the US buying property here as well, right? So now all of a sudden,
But that number is so small.
and that's exactly what it is. It depends on the narrative that they're using, right? I mean, you could pull out numbers from the blue and try to spin your own narrative on it. I mean, could it have been higher? Possibly.
Higher than 10%. What do you mean possibly, though?
Possibly, right?
Like, where's the information that supports a yes for that answer?
But that's what I'm saying. I'll have to do the research on it to give you an answer. But here's the thing:
I think
if
it's
we're
a
looking
lot
at,
smaller than what people thought.
I
I
think
think
it is
the
too.
entire problem was the supply is so low. There's a lot of people that want to live in our city. The prices are going to go up. It just, like,
True.
obviously.
we have to look at it city by city specific. So I mean, people's thoughts were specifically on Vancouver per se,
But it's a trickle down, right?
and that's exactly what it is. So then people started to encompass Burnaby into it, and encompass Surrey into it, New Westminster, and all that stuff. But I mean, for that 10% in Vancouver, chances are yes. But for other parts like Burnaby, New Westminster, you're right, it's a trickle-down effect. So maybe that number is diluted. Maybe that's why it ended up at 5%, and then maybe a little bit less as a whole for all the other areas. But like I said, I'd have none of the research on it myself,
Yeah.
so I can't say for sure. But yeah, I think it's extremely discriminatory. Any foreign buyers, I mean, there's loopholes for that. You can easily get around that. There's students here from abroad. Why not use them to purchase properties? People just got their PRs. You're related to them. Buy property through them as well. I mean, there's so many ways to get past that foreign buyer's tax.
And again, so many loopholes. Carl, this is hilarious, right? So many loopholes. BC government brings in 15% foreign buyer tax. The next year, they figure out that there's loopholes. So their solution is to increase it to 20%. Perfect.
That'll get him.
Problem solved. Yeah. That's it.
You're telling the truth. We're going to tax you some more.
What the hell? Anyway, let's move on. I can lose my mind over this shit. Should we take a question from the audience?
Yes. Who is it from? Subject A.
I'm not going to say any
Yeah.
names.
So no names. No names.
I wanted a nickname.
Let's
Lucas.
see.
Like
Where's
Hollywood.
a good one?
Bugs Bunny.
Like Bugs Bunny.
There's one that we basically almost talked about. Is it better time to buy or sell? Is there a better opportunity to upsize or downsize? We talked about that.
Actually, I think that one's pretty interesting, though, because I'm working with a client right now that's actually looking to downsize.
Yeah. And well, my thought on it is it's easy, or let me rephrase
Still
that.
tough sell.
What, to
I'd say
downsize?
it's an interesting time to
What do you mean?
downsize because your home has lost more value than what you'd be buying. I'm assuming they're going to like a larger style condo. So your home, your single family home has lost more value in the last year than your condo. But it's an interesting transition for people like that because moving is a big deal. A lot of these people that are downsizing have been in their homes for 20, 30 years. And the move is very stressful. And so if you sell first, it's going to take a couple months. Like a lot of homes are sitting on the market 2, 3, 4 months right now. So it's difficult to plan a downsize right now. Unless you have a lot of cash that you can buy, move into your new place, and then just wait for the place to sell. It's
Which
a
is
difficult
rare,
transition.
Most of those age
Most need the equity
demographics.
out. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So
that's where
I
the
have
money
a theory
sits.
about that though.
Okay. Theory? Do you have any
I
evidence
have
to back
Theory
it
or
up?
fact?
I have facts.
There you go.
I have facts and theories. It's all jumbled together. So for starters, Denny, you mentioned when downsizing, people live in their home for about 20 years. If they've lived in it for 20 years and they're downsizing right now, yes, maybe they would have got 1.3 for their detached a few years ago, and maybe they're only getting $1 million for it now, but they still saved a boatload of cash and made a fantastic decision to buy detached 20 years ago. That was the most epic decision to buy a detached home. You've got $800,000, sometimes $900,000 of equity. And yes, you're buying an expensive condo or whatever that you decide to buy. But did you know 20 years ago when you bought your house for $90,000 that you could sell it for $900,000? No, that was a fantastic business decision. It wasn't 1.3 like maybe your neighbor, but it was still a really, really good retirement decision. So take your $1 million, buy your condo. See you later.
I agree. But okay, let's
I like that. Great way to think.
reverse engineer this a little bit. Someone calls us. They are thinking about downsizing. They're saying, we're ready to do it. We could do it today or we could do it in 3 years from now. We're not in a hurry. I think what the question was actually asking was, is this the right time to do it? Or should we wait another year or two?
If you're looking to buy now because the prices are the lowest they've been in a very long time. If you're looking to sell, if you can buy and hold onto your property, I'd recommend that. But if you have to sell in order to buy, why not buy now?
You're buying at a discount right now.
You're buying at a huge discount right now. In terms of sales, I mean, if you list with the right team, you can get the most amount of money for your property as possible.
What kind
Sean,
of
this
team
is
would
not,
that be?
This is not an
Shameless
advertising
plug.
platform. This is an informational platform. We're just trying to provide people with information. Sean, don't say your
Don,
phone
I
number.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love
Sean,
it.
no email addresses. Okay, this is a good question here. Is the media accurately reporting the new market reality, or are they over exaggerating?
Take it with a grain of salt.
They're
Take it with a
they're
grain
looking
of
for a
salt.
story, obviously. They want something that they can write, that they can spin, and that they can blow into big.
It depends
Pictures.
what the media is saying. If the media is saying that the prices have dropped, yes, they have dropped. But nobody can tell what the future has in store. So, I mean, I can tell you it's a discount right now to buy. But other than that, take it with a grain of salt.
And I don't think that they're putting out any totally out to lunch stories or anything that's really stretched from the truth. I think they're saying a lot of just the numbers of what's happening, but they aren't interpreting those numbers, which is maybe a good thing.
They aren't what?
Interpreting.
Interpreting.
Interpreting. I did say interpreting, and it didn't
stuff-
sound right as I was saying it.
But you do see
Interpreting.
that a lot of stuff that media is putting together, though, is they're what people or what the media is not saying right now is that there is actually 3 different markets. There's a condo market, a townhouse market, and a house market. That is the reality right now.
Yeah, that's very
But
fair.
when you hear some stories out there, they're putting them all together and making the stats based on that.
And that's what I'm saying.
And also generalizing the area as like Greater Vancouver. Again, you
Totally.
have 3 markets and you have a bunch of different cities who have different things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Every city has got its own market. Every city has got 3 different markets. That's what's not being told that I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, and I just feel like they aren't telling much. Like a lot of it is just numbers.
Yeah.
Vancouver real estate sales are down 25%.
Exactly, which is
In
together.
what are we talking about? So it's numbers.
Yeah.
Are those numbers false? No. Is it? But they're just being put out. They're yeah, and it's not even misleading because it's just open for interpretation.
Yeah.
It's very misleading because they're not giving you the time frame. They're not giving you the area. They're saying Greater Vancouver.
They're not giving you the
sales
stats
are
what's
down
based on.
25%.
Yeah.
Is that from like May 1st, 2019 compared to May 1st, 2018?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the month of April? Is that the first 4 months of the year? Like they're not saying where they're getting this data. They're just saying, we have a stat that shows this. So we're going to pump the system full of like fear, right?
And that's completely it. You can use the stats to spin your narrative. But the nice thing is at least it opens up conversation with their clients because I mean, they always ask me, is now a good time to buy or sell? Like what's happening? The market's come down so much. I heard in the news this, and that.
Yeah.
And it's perfect segue for me to jump into what my stats show. So let the news say what they're saying. Yeah,
What do your stats show?
Yeah.
I almost asked.
I was gonna say, whoa.
I pull my stats from Paragon, okay? I pull it from
Shawn
neighborhoods that
Kambo.
they're looking for.
And his weekly stat.
Well, here's the thing.
Third and 5.
I think what it is you have to look at the
3, 2,
neighborhood that you're buying in. You can find the stats for that specific neighborhood, and they might show something different than what the news is saying, right? I mean, for example, Dunbar, out of Vancouver West, that's the most active neighborhood. I mean, 1/3 of the sales over the last 3 months have been in Dunbar. But all of a sudden, Vancouver West, everything's slow, everything's yada, yada, yada. It depends which neighborhood you're looking at, right? So, yeah, the news is great, but you have to figure out
What's being told.
exactly.
Speaking of conversations with clients,
Trust. I already know what your question is.
what?
He said trust.
Could you expand on that?
Nope. I will once you ask a question.
The question is going to make you look like an idiot.
What are you not able to attain with your clients?
Don't worry about it.
There goes my phone.
Okay. Conversation with the clients. I feel like more than ever, the term assessed value
Yeah.
comes up more in conversation than anything. What are clients saying about assessed value? What is our interpretation of a BC assessed value right now?
We would like to buy the house less than the assessed value.
That's what clients are saying.
That's
so
what-
purchasers are saying, we look at a assessed value, we want to buy less.
Yep.
That's a losing situation right now for them.
Oh, yeah.
That is what I would say.
Because the assessments only take into account what have the recent sales been in the neighborhood. And sometimes recent sales are 6+ months ago.
As of 12 months ago,
True.
the current assessed values.
And then the other thing that they don't understand is when assessments are done, it's only done from the streetscape. They don't go into the homes. They don't see what's been renovated. They don't see what's been updated in the house. Exactly.
That is actually correct. I've been called multiple times by someone that claims to work for BC Assessment and says, hey, I see a home sold here on this street over here. And I'd like you to explain why. I'm like, what? Who is this?
How'd you get my number?
Are you looking to buy or sell something?
You
right now?
can't
What's
buy
going
it
on?
again.
Anyway, assessed value. Monica, Adam. What percentage of clients bring it up?
100%.
That many? I don't
I
Yes.
don't think it's 100.
I'd say
Oh.
like 60.
No,
For me.
you guys are all lying. It's 100%. Oh, of sellers.
It's of clients, period.
Are you guys serious?
Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. Let's do this. 30 to 40, 100.
Every listing
60?
appointment, Denny. Every listing appointment you've been in with me. Wow,
That low, eh?
you
I
guys
think
are
it's
getting,
higher than 50 for me.
They're getting better listing appointments than I am.
I'm saying 60%. Bring it up. But then again, it's, yeah.
Okay,
This
Yours-
is-
Denny,
hold on. You're saying 60?
I'm saying 60.
What if I change mine to 63?
That's fine. I'm
Yours
staying at
yours
60.
going to change to 63.
Okay,
No,
but-
6 out of 10. 100%. 6
I
out
know
of 10.
it's going to be really hard for Denny because he goes on so many listing appointments. But Denny, try to think to the ones that you've gone on with me. They bring it in every single listing appointment.
First of all, you're right. I do go in a lot. Thank you for pointing that out. I'd say 60 to 70. Not everyone. A lot of people are like, what's your opinion? It depends on the relationship, right? So if it's past clients that we've worked with before and they trust us and they know who we are. Often it's just, where do I sign? What is my place worth? What is your opinion? Okay, great. Let's do that. If it's someone you've never met before, maybe they bring up the assessed value, or maybe they know that their neighbor sold for this a year and a half ago, so they want that. So it's more like educating them a little bit. But I think it varies.
And I think a reason why mine might be a little lower is because I think I beat them to the punch a lot of the times, because I'll have it set up in my CMA.
Being proactive.
Yeah, being proactive rather than reactive.
Right.
It's I'll have it just set up in my CMA, and it is there. It is like the tax the assessment value is listed right there. It's one of the first things I go over. I show them when they bought the property, what it was valued at, then it comes to their assessed value. And usually I'll go over, I'll say, yeah, hey, this is the assessed value. Just so you know, if I was doing an appointment today, I'll just tell them that this was taken last June, so almost a year ago. Market was at a much different place then. And even if it was at the moment, we still always kind of take assessed with a grain of salt. We'll evaluate it on our own with what's sold and what's active that's comparable. And then in the appointment, I'd be going over those sales and those active listings. But yeah, I usually bring it up. So that might be why I feel like less clients bring it up to me.
What do we think the problem is in terms of why people in their minds have so much value on assessed value?
Because they feel like it should be right because it's what they're getting taxed and it's what the government's telling them. Like I feel like
I think it's because they're only option. They have like what else?
Yeah, they don't have any.
What
other
else are they
input.
given that says your home is now worth this year?
Nothing at all.
Right. It's the only thing in writing. Yes, they're getting taxed on it, so they assume it's somewhat correct, and someone has done research. Which, newsflash, no one's doing research. Literally, it's like a square,
spitting up numbers,
average based on your year. Sure,
Square
your place is
footage.
worth this. Doesn't look at if you have a 400 square foot patio versus someone who doesn't have patio. Doesn't look at your view versus someone who doesn't have a view.
But Denny, I just put $400,000 into my property.
Into your reno?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't take that into account.
Okay.
So, all I have to say, geez, I have so many things to say about assessed value. Holy cow.
Yeah, throw it out.
Even like looking on the buy side.
Yeah.
So on the sell side, in a slower market, everyone wants assessed value, which again, to me, I hold 0% of what a property is worth on assessed value. Then on the buy side, people are like, well, I want to look at the assessed value and work off of that. But the assessed value might be 10% high, might be 15% high, might be 3% low. So I like looking at sales. What has sold? Not what someone working at the government office that is now proposing all these ridiculous taxes that make no difference in our industry. I don't want to base my value of what a property is worth on someone who's sitting at a desk, drawing a square, saying what's everything sold, taking an average price per square foot. Your place is worth this. I want to see what is actually sold in a neighborhood. These are the things that have sold in your building. These are the things that have sold next door to you. Here's what the value is. I still don't really understand assessed value. How do we explain it to people? How do we explain it to clients?
That's usually when I look over.
Because that's
Denny.
the problem. Everyone's like, well, what should I be working off of assessed value? Like what percentage?
I don't get that question much though.
When people are buying?
Oh, sorry, when you're buying.
When people are buying, they look at the assessed value. They'll say, oh, it's listed at $599. The assessed value is $560. I should be paying $550. Okay, then what are buyers saying? Buyers don't look at assessed value?
Maybe they do, but that's not the conversation I'm having with them.
What are you having?
Conversation I'm having with them is looking at what's going on in the area, like I would
Market
similar
value. Market
Correct.
value.
Yeah, but that's the conversation I'm having with them, and I'm sure that the assessed value comes up quite a bit to others. But
What percentage of
buyers,
assessed value is it associated with market value? Go. Monica.
0. Unless they call one of us, which they do, and then we tell them. So they take our word for it, I guess.
Yeah, I use 0 and I would say 0.
Shawn. Lucas.
-10.
Good answer. Carl.
That was a zero
Carl,
if you couldn't hear.
Carl, if you were to sell your 1-bedroom condo right now, would you look at the assessed value? What advice would you take?
But he's biased though, because he knows what's going on.
No, he
now.
doesn't like me very much.
No, but he's smart. He'd look at the market. Recent sales.
You would think that makes more sense.
You would.
Let me ask you this question. When we have a listing, which we've got quite a few right now.
How many do we have?
Because we go on a lot of listing appointments. I think we cracked 30 a couple weeks ago. I think we're at 33,
33 or
34.
34.
Again, this is not a sales pitch at all. Shawn at gdrealestate.ca.
And we are not sponsored by Steel and Oak again.
Best brewery in the
SHAWS.
US.
Often in negotiations, anyway, when Monica seems to be contradicting most of what I say this afternoon.
She likes to fight.
When we have listings and we have someone offer on our listing and an agent calls us and says, oh, it's listed way too high. The assessed value is this. What is our response to an agent that brings up an assessed value?
I usually just ask them what was the last sale. That's it.
And what is their response to that?
They sometimes don't know.
Exactly.
I'd say they often don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100% of the time, they don't know.
So again, we're going to go back to
Well, not 100%.
my numbers of 15,000 something agents in Greater Vancouver. Year ago, now to 14,200. A lot of realtors are lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Assessed value is an easy thing to look at because it's on Paragon. Paragon is our MLS system for realtors. You can type in the address and there's a section. There's literally a button. It's a red T. And you click on it and it shows the assessed value. It's a tax report. So it's really easy to find out what the assessed value is. It takes slightly minimal
longer.
more time. Minimal more time
Type in
to
a couple.
look at what the recent sales in the neighborhood are or in the building. But a lot of people don't spend that extra time to look at it. So assessed value is an easy thing to pull up that say, oh, well, it's listed at $599. The assessed value is $575. We offered $570. What do those conversations look like? Because it's a little bit of a balance between thanks so much for your offer. We are looking forward to working with you versus like, do a little bit of research, please.
I think those conversations are quite funny because they'll send the offer based on the assessment, but then I'll send a counter based on recent sales.
because we've shown them the sales.
And that's exactly what it is. I mean, and it's great. I encourage all offers to come in, no matter how high or how low they are. But I mean, that's the truth of the matter is if there's a comparable property that recently sold and they're showing something that's other than what the assessed value is, that's the number you have to go with. The assessed value is just there to bit tax you on the property.
That also brings up, sorry, go ahead.
When I'm trying to get more work out of a realtor, if I'm on the listing end, they're trying to buy, I just tell them, hey man, I want to work with you.
Or woman.
Man or woman.
Yeah, we don't
Hey
discriminate.
person.
Yeah.
Hey person who is a realtor.
Yeah.
I want to work with you. You just sent me an offer and you literally said, find my offer attached. And that's the email. Give me something. Give me something that I can bring to my sellers to make them see why you're at where you're at. And if they're just saying assess, like I just try to encourage them that I want more from you so that I can make this happen and work with my seller and have them work with you rather than just tell them they're lazy or why are you looking at the assessed value? That's not relevant. That's not what we use. I'll still let them know that I'm basing it off of market, but I'll try to just encourage them to please give us more evidence so it can help their case with my seller kind of thing. So that's my way of kind of politely telling them to work harder.
All right.
Lucas?
I cannot remember what I was going to ask. What was I going to say?
I
What
had
was
a
the
feeling it
question?
was really good.
It was good, but what was the question again? I just
Assessed
mesmerized by
value. When agents bring up assessed value.
in the offers.
Moving
You know
on.
what? You know what my favorite line is? I'm going to share
The
this.
biggest
Because it can be useful for all four of you. Carl, you too, man. When you decide to sell your condo, if you don't use Shawn?
I don't know why he wouldn't use me, but
He knows.
This
he knows your
happened today.
email.
This happened today in an elevator. We're going up the elevator to see the unit. Client hasn't, not my client, a buyer hasn't even seen the unit yet for one of our listings. And she says, what was I can't remember the exact line. She said something like, she's like, well, it's priced much higher than the assessed value. And I looked at her, and I know what the assessed value is. But I looked at her and I was like, I honestly don't even know what the assessed value is, but I can give you the last 4 sales in the building if you'd like those. She's like, oh, all right. You know, it just kind of like throws them off. Like this mysterious number that just comes out of the air onto a computer system from this formula that is thrown out to make, to charge people taxes, because it would be absolutely ridiculous to waste taxpayers' money on someone going and inspecting an exact home and finding an appraised value. Anyway, that's my line.
Good line.
You gonna use that one?
I'm gonna use that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we are done. We're gonna end on a high note. No, I'm just kidding. Here's a question from a very excited listener. Oh, hold on. What happened? No, it's not actually.
They're all Alex.
They're all out. Alex just sitting here,
That's not true.
not listening.
Are there any specific clients you prefer to work with?
fun clients.
Answer this carefully, guys. No one wants to answer?
So
Okay. I prefer to work with sweet people.
100%.
I like all people
Yeah.
that are sweet.
I like curious people.
You like?
I like curious people. I like people that like to take chances.
heard
What does that mean?
different word.
Curious.
Curious, like people that are
I
just
just thought about that.
they have questions. They have questions about
Okay.
everything. That's
Okay.
completely fine.
Okay,
I think we
question is
attract
good.
though
Curious is-
clients that we like.
I-
I think that's the biggest thing.
Maybe
agree.
you know what?
But
Maybe
I-
that's the way to interpret this question: is what type of client do we attract?
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is like a lot of our clients, I don't know the percentage, but I would say, let's just say high 80s are finding us through social media and through our ways that we're marketing through
That seems
new.
high.
That's a very high number.
What?
The number from
High-
last
high
year,
80s?
internet and social media leads, was about 35%.
But then I was going to say newsletters, flyers, and other areas in the city, no?
We're a high amount of SOI, I'd say too.
What's
What's your
SOI?
SOI?
sphere of influence?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I don't know. I think that's high.
I know the exact number. It's roughly 35%.
For what?
Internet
That
leads,
sounds like an
number is
exact number.
roughly 35.
Roughly 35%.
35.77. Okay.
Thank you. But Lucas, you're saying we attract the type of client we want.
I think we attract the clients, see us, and they work with us because of who we are and what we're bringing to the table. They trust us. And I love working with people who are very similar to me, have the same likes as me, who I can create a relationship that's not going to be just based on them buying or selling this, but something down the road. That's my favorite
I
client.
think that's a cool big thing to mention is real estate is a very emotional transaction for a lot of the people that we work with that are either upsizing, downsizing, wherever they're going on the spectrum. It's really cool to build relationships with people around that. And we spend a lot of time with people, maybe in a short amount of time. If you're selling your home, it might be 30 days or 45 days, but we're spending a lot of those 45 days communicating with people. I'm selling Lauren's brother's condo right now, and I talk to Lauren's brother a lot more than I talk to Lauren. Correct. Which is kind of cool, actually, because he's sweet. But it's a pretty intimate relationship that you build with people because you're communicating so often, and it's a very emotional, huge transaction in their life.
I find that all of us are pretty good to navigate those type of emotional journeys per se. I mean, all of us are pretty calm. All of us are pretty laid back. All of us are actually pretty fun to hang out with. That's why we always come together after work whenever we have time. So, I mean, I think Lucas is right. This type of stuff we put on social media is just kind of a reflection of our own lives. You know, we're not the people that keep posting listings and sales. But, you know, we like to give a glimpse of who we are and what we do. And I think we attract those type of people. So, I mean, I like to think we're fun and easy to work with. And those are the type of clients we like working with.
Shawn, I'd like you to evaluate Lucas right now. Who is Lucas? And what does he do?
That's a
I'm
really
a
good
realtor.
question. The whiskey comes to mind.
You have
and
30
running
seconds.
long. Long and whiskey. That's all that comes to mind.
Long
runs and whiskey.
Long runs.
Long runs and whiskey.
Yeah. You like your long runs and whiskey?
I do celebrate all my sales of whiskey.
That makes sense. Should we take one more question from the audience here?
I'd like to also say 35% through social media is a very high figure. So that's
I wasn't.
that's
I
a
wasn't.
high-
I wasn't.
so-
I didn't
I
mean.
mean, that's a high amount of overall
But I didn't
business
mean-
generated. 35 that's a
I
significant
didn't
amount.
mean social media as the whole. I was talking about the way we prospect.
So
We bring all our leads. Our leads are coming on are ridiculous, and we got to be one of the only teams that you open your phone and there's, hey, I want to sell my home tomorrow. Okay, great. Here we go.
For realtors out there, it's very difficult to track leads that come specifically from social media. So we group them in internet leads. So like website, social media, whatever. And that number is 35 to 40%.
That's a huge number.
It's-
a huge number.
So it's the difference between us being steady this year and us feeling extremely slow like a lot of agents locally are.
I mean,
It's
that's
online
Because
presence
the
for sure.
internet's
Like
always
almost-
running.
that's like 40 to 50 deals right there off for social media. That's huge. They said that a regular agent, I think the stat was given a few years ago, a normal agent does about 6 deals a year. If we look at the numbers that we're doing almost 20 to 30 deals each a year.
I would say the average agent's gonna do 3 to 4 this year.
And we're still going to do close to 20 this year.
Like that number that you were pulling up before of 15,000 realtors, that's now at what? 14,000?
14,200 something.
That's gonna hit 13.
It'll go under 14 for sure this year. I just don't I don't know how many people are gonna say see you later.
I just did the licensing course when I like a
Again?
year ago. No, a year ago, and when I did it, it was like
Can I do it again?
it's let's say it was 14,700, and they said 7,400 did one or more sale, 4,300 did 2 or more sales.
Yeah.
In a calendar year.
But you get that too, though. You like I don't.
30% did only 2 deals.
Correct.
So, but here's you guys noticing now though, as you're getting more experience in what we're doing, that when an offer comes in, you can instantly tell how long this agent's been or how busy this agent is in what they're doing, and you can figure that out. And at that point, I can now guide that agent into the direction I need them to go. Like I feel like it's a life hack or it's a real estate hack. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'll get an offer on something like a listing.
I would say we're experienced beyond our years because of
Yeah.
how many transactions we get in a short amount of time.
But what does that do for us though?
Exactly that. You can just spot and like pinpoint things like that rather than if we were a newbie, we'd be like, oh, it's all the same. But
Yeah.
we're like, oh, this guy's on it. This guy's not. He probably doesn't do a lot. He probably does.
I think not only are we able to spot issues, we're able to innovate as well on the spot. And I think that's a huge one for us.
Innovate. Please elaborate.
Well, the thing is, like I mentioned before, we're benchmarking. We're trying to find the best practices for the different types of clauses we can put into contracts. I mean, Denny came up with a really awesome one just a few weeks ago when I was asking him, like,
Probably
this is
because
where
of
we're
all
at.
those listing appointments.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, why not ask for a decoration allowance? I didn't realize we could ask that for non-pre-sales. I didn't know that. That's innovative. That's awesome. That helps our clients out. I mean, I think that's a huge key of it is having experience, which is huge, having knowledge, which is awesome, but being able to innovate as well by using the experience we have, creating something new. And I think that's what becomes the next standard. We become better. Our standards just keep getting better and higher and higher.
I think people outside of the industry don't understand how complex a contract is. It's now 8 pages? It's a lot more complex than just filling in someone's name and a number. And so you can be very creative in the way that you word terms to favor a client, but people that haven't done hundreds of transactions don't know the wording or ways to make it more beneficial for your client. Like that.
And that's huge because our duty is to our clients. So if we can't help them better, somebody else can.
Stop. Jesus. This is a professional environment.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah, put that beer down.
Okay, last question. we can kind of elaborate a little bit more on this, but the question is, for a first-time home buyer, where is the value for long-term investment? But we can maybe...
The first-time home buyer, did you say that?
Yeah, but let's maybe just go outside of that and say, where is... what are our thoughts or advice to people when they say, not so concerned about the layout, not so concerned about the finishes, I want to make a good real estate investment?
I'm just going to speak to my age, the below 30-year-olds out there, because I get a lot of...
He just really wanted to say that he's the only person under 30 on our team.
I'm like not proud of that. I'm not proud. I feel like that's a black sheep in the industry because I'm a young guy. So I'm not like, yeah, anyways. Because
you just got to shave cul-de-sacs in your head like me.
Yeah, it gets you some good mileage. It's why the beard came in, okay? But yeah, I have a lot of people asking me who are on my age. They're not in the market yet. They're like, like, what do I do? Do I buy a condo now? Do I buy a pre-sale now? Or do I save up later and buy a home? And the advice I've gotten, and what I've also learned through the industry, but James, one of our obviously on our team,
he's the runner. He runs longer than all.
Yeah,
of us
he's the real fire runner. And even before I got into the industry, lots of clients I met in my previous business who were very well off just said, the earlier you can get into real estate, just get in as soon and as small as you can and go up from there. So for under 30 years old, I wouldn't say wait and save until you can own a home, because that's crazy. And, lenders prefer you if you do have some mortgages under your belt. So it's just getting a couple good years of stable income under you, saving up for a down payment. Those are the biggest barriers, and get in. That's the best investment, is if you can afford, if pre-sale is most affordable for you, sure, do it. If you can get in a condo right away that you can rent out and continue renting your own place, or you can live in, great. Just start building some sort of equity. And that over long term is going to be your best move, rather than waiting on the sidelines for a bigger purchase.
Monica looks like she has some disagreeing points here.
I do disagree a little bit, not on everything. Yes, get into real estate if you can, and if you've got the cash and you're approved. But to answer the question about finishes and what type of property to get into, I'd say pre-sale is a great idea. If you can scrape together the budget to get a newer build that's a concrete building, for example, don't just hop in and buy a 70-year-old condo because that's all you can afford. I would buy something newer. I'd buy something that is a 1-bedroom instead of a 2-bedroom if it's in a concrete building. If you can afford a 2-bedroom, I would also get it in a structure that's more popular and a more desirable area, instead of getting a townhouse that's like, if, say, for example, your budget's $700,000, don't buy a townhouse out, maybe in the middle of nowhere just because that's what you can afford. I would get like maybe a 2-bedroom in a building without rental restrictions, or that allows pets, or, has a good contingency fund. Like, there's those things that I would consider if I was telling somebody to jump into a market.
I didn't mean buy just anything. I meant still make a good purchase. But
No,
yeah,
I know,
and yeah, everything Monica said is absolutely right. I didn't elaborate enough, but yeah, 100%.
Monica's from Texas.
Oh.
Texas, correct?
I went to high school and college in Texas, yes.
Do you have a gun on you?
Yes.
Oh boy.
It's not legal in BC, man. You can't carry a gun around. Thoughts, Lucas, Shawn?
Every situation is different, obviously. But first-time home buyer, are they buying a condo, a townhouse, or a house? Where do they want to live? Are they looking to
Overall?
Lucas
live in
never
it,
likes to
buy it,
answer
rent it?
questions.
Overall. Broad spectrum. Someone says, I'm thinking about purchasing real estate. It's my first purchase.
Yeah. But
what should I be focused on? I'm not worried about layout, finishes. What should I be focused on? What's going to make me, what's the best investment long term?
Are you going to live in it or rent it?
Let's say both. They plan to live in it for a couple of years, but they want the option to rent.
Move in first or rent after? Or rent first or move in first?
This is too specific.
That's what I'm saying, but it's a very...
That is correct. It is very specific.
It's a very specific...
We're talking generalized.
In my opinion, I honestly think that if people were like, and I'm not the same, I don't do it myself, but, and I would love to, is that I feel that people should rent out what they own and rent where they live. At the end of the day, if you want to make a long-term investment, stay where you are, pay your $1,100 a month. If you are lucky enough to get that, stay in that.
In Chilliwack, apparently $1,100 a month.
There's,
Where are you living?
You would be surprised, but I can't specifically tell you the address because we have a listing in it that the neighbor right across from us is paying $1,300 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom overlooking the Fraser River. That's the biggest clue. They've been there for 5 years now.
Exactly.
So would you not tell this person?
So your advice would be go back in time, rent something for $1,300 a month.
I'm just saying this. I'm not going to answer. I am not going to be able to answer that question without a ton of follow-up questions.
Okay. I have some general thoughts. Shawn, you go first. That sounded very...
He's on my board too, right?
No, okay, so let me start off with pre-sales.
The first thought that was going
Sean's
through...
never the one to be like, no, I'm not ready to talk yet. I'm going to listen to what everyone else has to say first.
I do, though. I do.
No, you don't.
I was thinking, did I already put my email out there, or should I do it now? Or...
It's Shawn SHAWN.
But you're saying just buy. Obviously, it's just get into the market. Great, get into the market.
Well,
I think.
So here's the thing. So just to touch on pre-sales, back in the day, and what I mean by back in the day is maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there was discounts on pre-sales. They're cheaper than what the currently listed homes were going for. So back in the day, pre-sales were great. One thing that I would recommend looking at is assignments. Sometimes assignment sales are actually selling less than what the developer is selling the current units for. So you might be able to snag a really good deal for an assignment sale. It also opens up the doors for different neighborhoods.
Are developers allowing assignments that are less, though?
I've seen some that are less than the original purchase price. Yeah.
No, than what they're currently advertising units at if they have leftover units?
As far as I know, because there's one on West King Edward in Canby, just across the street from the SkyTrain. That original, I think, was around $1,088,000, and the person has the assignment up for $988,000. So, interesting, yes. So, look for assignments because people are desperate to sell because they know they can't close or they won't be living in the country when they sell or when they close. The other thing is land has always been something that I've been fond of. And I think land always appreciates a lot more than attached living. And I could be wrong in specific cases, but generally speaking, if you can afford land, a single detached home is the best way to go. And now if that's not affordable.
But likely a first-time home buyer, like his question is not jumping into a
exactly
house.
And there's possibilities of getting 5% down. So if you
still, what's 5% on $1.5 million?
Or it could be 850, right? So it could be the same as 20% on something else, maybe around 500,000, whatever. Like it's something similar to that. So that will give you an idea that you could put a smaller percentage down and afford a single detached house. That's what I would sway you towards if you're comfortable taking that risk. If you're not comfortable taking the risk, then find something within your means. This could be a 1-bedroom apartment, like Monica had mentioned, in a building that allows rentals. And like Lucas mentioned, there's going to be follow-up questions. Be prepared to answer those because we'll be able to help direct you in the perfect direction.
I always talk about with new buyers that are unfamiliar with real estate investing or purchasing. My first question is always like, what lifestyle do you want to live? What lifestyle are you comfortable with? Do you want to travel 3 times a year? Do you want to go out for dinner 3 nights a week? Like, what's the extra cash flow that you need on top of your living expenses to live the lifestyle that you want? Reverse engineer that to, okay, I have this much to spend on housing per month and purchase in that means. Like, there's no point stretching yourself to the absolute max. If a mortgage broker says you can get a mortgage for $500,000 or $1 million, do you really need to spend that much money on housing? Likely not, because for me anyway, one of the biggest stresses in my life is financial stress. It weighs on you the most. And so if people are stretching themselves every single month, I think that has a negative effect on their lifestyle. So I'd say reverse engineer where you want to live and what you want to live in based on the lifestyle that you want to live. And then put that into real estate. Doesn't mean you have to buy. If that's renting, what? Helga? What's her name?
Pamela.
Pamela.
Pamela Our printer.
Pamela, our printer, is a little bit temperamental.
She wanted to make it
Printing
appear.
stuff out of nowhere.
So once you have, from my perspective, once you have those numbers clearly outlined, where your lifestyle will be able to align with where you're living and what you're living in, then buy in the best location that you can possibly buy in.
And I think that's what affordable is. I think you just summed up affordable.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, based on your lifestyle, that's affordable.
It depends if
So-
you're talking about affordable for yourself or affordable in general.
Well,
It's two
for
very
that,
different
for that
things.
lifestyle. For
When
that
you,
lifestyle,
when you
that's
call
considered
this is affordable,
For
you're
you.
talking about
This is affordable for you.
if you say for you, but if you just say that clock is affordable, anyone can afford it.
Well, looking at the clock, I
And
think
it's not
anybody can
saying for
afford
me.
it.
Yeah.
The clock's not even screwed into the wall. My God. Everybody can afford that clock.
Yeah.
It's actually a free clock. Everybody can pick it up, 630 5th Street. Come pick up this clock. It's for free.
I will
Anyway.
flip that.
Back
Can
to
I
my
have that for free?
real valid point here.
And it was a
'cause
very
I
good
think
point.
I think I had a lot going here,
Yeah.
but Adam interrupted it. I think a lot of real estate investors and realtors say best location, try to get into Vancouver, get a Vancouver address or be as close to Vancouver as possible. Figure out your lifestyle, reverse engineer, figure out what you want to spend per month, buy in the best location based on what you want to spend per month so that you can live the lifestyle that you want to live. I want to hike in the summer. I want to drink a couple beers, probably not Steel and Oak though.
You want to
Because they don't sponsor us.
You want to live underneath the Patolo.
I do.
I'm just joking.
It's not good for hiking. It's close to Steel and Oak, but it's not good for hiking.
I don't know. I'm super confused.
Well,
Actually,
downhill.
where would you live, Denny?
Where would I live?
Yeah, where would you live? What's
So-
your ideal
Budget
area?
was what?
If your budget was 1 million, where would you live?
I am unique, I think. I am not in a good
Denny's
way.
gonna live in
I never
hope.
said in a good way. I just said, let's say different. I love views. I need a view. And so if I had $1 million, I would probably, again, lifestyle, meaning for me, work is a bunch of my lifestyle. So commute is important. North Van would be probably up there, but the commute is too long and I can't deal with that bridge because it's crazy. And Carl knows what I'm talking about because he was working in North Van this week. So I would say number 1, Olympic Village area, because it's close enough to the suburbs where a lot of our work is, obviously. So it's not crazy commute. I really like Brentwood. I live in Brentwood right now. Just doesn't have as good views as Olympic Village. For $1 million, you can get a pretty cool condo with a decent view, looking at the water in Science World and the mountains.
Very cool. Monica, how about yourself? Where would you live if you had $1 million?
Microphone.
Well, I live in Port Moody and I have $1 million view, so I'm really happy where I am.
I also really love Port Moody.
Oh.
So Port Moody,
Mic drop.
I would like to. I love
Drop the
Port
mic.
Moody. I think Port Moody is on a fantastic trajectory to becoming like one of the coolest suburb cities in Greater Vancouver, if not the coolest. It's just a touch far. So yes, the SkyTrain's there. Yes, it's accessible. Driving
far from
out
what?
of Port Moody sucks.
So I live in Port Moody and Lucas lives in Port Moody and we work here. And it's like New West is so accessible from Port Moody, I feel like.
But you're late for our team meetings, probably 2 out of 4 weeks.
I'm
a
never
month.
late. I'm never late.
You guys are in
Lucas is.
Liverpool.
Oh, okay. I'm never late to our meetings.
What do you want from me?
But at the same time, Shawn is late, and Shawn literally lives 3 minutes away.
Okay. Yeah. I'm never late. I
I
plan
still need to learn how to
accordingly.
time it.
Are you late, Lucas?
Just show up
Are you
5
late?
minutes early.
I used to be late
You
quite a bit,
literally
yeah.
live 5 minutes away,
It depends. Like
and there's
I-
no
That's
traffic. It's
so
all
busy.
back streets.
it's very
Forget it.
specific.
I'm either early or on time. I am never late. I've been late maybe once in 5 months.
Well, out of the 2 Port Moody people, 50% of you are late.
Oh my god.
I love Port Moody. It's worth every penny. And all of our fines that we get from Denny for being late. It's fine.
Can we end on Monica's laugh because it's hilarious?
Hey, Monica, what did I say there? Okay, I was just hoping.
What? Hey, what notes are you guys
Donuts.
writing down? What was that? It's fine, right?
It's 0 to here with Denny and Shawn. It says.
Hey, Shawn, come on now. I had some good answers, all right?
You got the laugh. We got the laugh. Man. That's all that matters. End it on that.
I would honestly, from right now, because I'm focused on trying to be able to get myself into that $1 million property. I want to be in Port Moody. I want to be on the water. I know it's not going to be $1 million, it's going to be more.
Quite a bit. Quite a bit.
Well, not necessarily quite a bit if I was to pull the trigger now. There's a few. Anyways, but I would stay in Port Moody. I love it. I love the North Shore. I lived in Lynn Valley for a couple of years. My wife is from the North Shore. We need to be by the trails, by the mountains, by the ocean. We have a dog. We need to take her out. We got to run. Breweries are
Cities have a lot
awesome.
of breweries.
It's just the lifestyle for me and for us. Like when I get there, I just love it. And the community now is like, I'm starting to see the same people. I go to the breweries. They get to know us. We start chatting with them. Like it's just a sense of community you don't get, in my opinion, if you're, for example, living downtown.
I would like to give a shout out to the citizens of Port Moody.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty cool.
It's pretty,
Everyone's so friendly.
100%.
Okay. Brewery people in general are pretty friendly.
Yeah.
But when you're in Port Moody, it's different. People are like excited to meet you and talk to you.
Yeah.
And introduce their weird looking dog to you.
It's not only the breweries though, it's a lot of the local businesses. And I think that's a sense of community. I don't know if it's just as I'm getting older, I like the sense of community. I like being able to support local shops and get to know the owners and have that conversation with people. And I don't know.
Hashtag
Pomo
local.
life.
Pomo life?
Oh, that do. I was going to say support local, but
Support local as well, yeah. I mean, that's anywhere you live, right?
I do. I watch it all the time. Me and Adam were thinking about doing one on Homer Street.
Hashtag Homer Street? We have a listing on Homer.
Move on. Yeah, we have a listing on Homer. That's why.
Homer Cafe.
It's actually a wicked
great
listing. You guys
place.
should check it out. All right. Let's wrap up here.
Kind of went off the rails there.
Lady and gentlemen, that was, I don't know what is the right word. I want to say pleasure, but it was interesting.
Well, let's talk this. Can I ask one question though?
Right?
Let's ask one question to a first-time home buyer
Okay.
who's yet to buy a home, and B, affordability in the city, and C, where would he live if that all came into play, Adam?
Affordability.
Well, just like, Adam, where would
what
you...
were the three criteria?
Well,
yeah.
okay,
First-time home buyer,
affordability.
Just ask me the question.
It's just your lifestyle and being a first-time home buyer.
And
What is
affordability.
what is your professional? What would you tell yourself?
If I
you were to buy
$1 million,
No.
or just to buy a
I just
place?
want to say right now, where do you want to live? If you could afford to live anywhere, and let's just cap it at like
This is personal. So this is not a first-time home buyer.
This is
Adam.
this is just Adam. In my opinion, I would love to hear where he is, who's coming from the industry, being a realtor, doesn't own, he rents. He loves West End, obviously. Would he stay there? Would he go elsewhere based on lifestyle and affordability and what makes sense in your specific position right now?
Based on lifestyle, commute is really important to me. That's the only reason I wouldn't say Deep Cove, or else that would be my 100% answer. Because commute is important. 100% answer. Thanks, everyone. Because that isn't a good answer for that. I would like to stay in the area I am now, in the West End. If I were to not be in the West End, New West would just make a lot of sense. And again, that's just because of commute in life. So much of my life is out here. It's a manageable commute for me, especially being from the prairies where we're used to commutes. So yeah, yeah, that's my main priority. But dream world, Deep Cove.
Deep Cove. Wow.
Or once I'm retired. Or
I
semi-retired.
have a last-minute submission here for
Oh,
a
wow.
question.
From Alex?
No.
I was thinking of Alex too. That's the first thing I thought.
No.
Have we got any from Alex?
Yeah, we got one. His was the
race?
first-time buyer, and where would you suggest that? How would you suggest they invest for
I
first-time buyer?
thought he'd be the race.
So does he have a buyer for us?
Shawn is literally all he thinks about is sales. Who would win in a fight?
In a fight.
Cher or
what kind of
Celine
fight?
Dion?
Oh,
What kind
Alex
of
gave
fight?
me one of these
Hold
questions.
on. Listen to the question.
Oh, I thought that was the question.
Yes, Cher
Adam
Celine-
or Lucas?
Oh, not even. Okay, wow.
And
Fist
then
fight?
they go on to say, I think I'd have to take Lada. Sorry, I think
Who's Lannis?
I think I'd have to take Lucas.
Oh,
The lad is tough, but Adam is strong and young.
oh, fair.
Unbelievable. Like,
Fair.
I love you, man, but not even close.
Have you seen?
like,
I'd
So
go
not even-
endurance.
Let's each get to vote.
Hold-
You go first.
I'd say, well,
But do we
I
talk
have a lot
about
of criteria.
experience?
Endurance doesn't
No, you
matter
can't
in a
vote.
fight, man.
You can't vote.
Oh, it's just straight up. Okay.
You can't vote. You're in the fight.
I'm just saying. You don't know my experience. Or the black belt I hold.
Endurance, Lucas. Life experience,
Lucas.
toss up.
What are you talking about?
Physical strength, Adam.
Yeah.
It depends what the fight is. Is the fight like
Is it a fist
crush
fight?
Okay,
6 beers,
so
or
I-
is it like a? Is it like a?
No.
Is it
Well,
an arm
when
wrestle?
I
Is it
hear
a
fight,
fist
I think it's a fight, not
Like
just an arm
bare knuckle
wrestle.
box.
So Alex once asked me who would win in a fight, me, you, or James.
Hold on,
And to that,
Adam's taking this super serious.
I
This is a joke, by the way.
Can I put a fun fact?
so Alex did actually.
Fun fact.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
I had a fight on TV.
Nice. What, like a real fight or a filmed fight? Like a
No, real
acting fight.
No, Muay Thai kickboxing
Nice.
fight on TV.
What
Nice.
tie?
Muay Thai.
I know what I'm capable
I thought it was
of.
Muay
I'm so
Thai.
comfortable.
Fun fact. Kickboxing.
Muay Thai,
Muay Thai.
not Muay.
Muay.
No.
Muay.
Muay
Like
Thai.
a cow.
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai.
Muay.
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 Okay.
Anyway, still confident. Alex asked me, you, me, James, who wins in a fight? I had to clarify, is this a fight to the death or a fight to submission? And are
He's taking it so seriously.
weapons involved? I said, if weapons are involved, I think you might have the upper hand because you are very skillful and tactile. Basketball, shooting a projectile, golf, hitting something. I think you'd be good with weapons in hand. If it was to the death, I think James would win. Just James to the death, he would win. And if it was to submission, I
He's
think I
got
would
bad
win.
knees though.
To the death, he'd find a way. I really do think.
don't know.
I heard he's running back to Canada. He's like halfway across Russia right now.
And if it was submission, I said
Couple
I'd win.
oceans in
I'd
a
win
way,
based
but-
on size, strength, and just body manipulation. But that's how I broke that down. Lucas, sorry, bud. I think I'd take you. Pretty sure I'd take you.
I don't know about that.
I think Monica's laugh wins in all competitions, always. All right,
I'm just glad nobody's fighting me.
Great job,
I
team.
hate altercations.
let's end this in the way that we end our Tuesday morning meetings.
Drunk?
How do we end them?
What? At 10:30 a.m.
Our Tuesday morning meetings are at 8:30, just for the record.
Oh my god. How do we end our Tuesday meetings?
I'm not totally sure.
We just
Yeah, we all
So should I?
we all eventually leave at some point. So Monica, go first.
And good talk.
Awesome. Thanks for having us here tonight.
Yeah.
Shawn, you're absolutely welcome. And if anyone has real estate related questions, Shawn, SHAWN at gdrealestate.ca.
I never heard the intro.
And break.